Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol Podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and week 6 for the New Orleans Saints is done. And depending on who you ask, they may even say the season. But I'm not going to go that far. Not yet. The New Orleans Saints fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this afternoon by the score of 51-27. The Saints' fourth loss in a row, putting their record at 2-4 on the season thus far. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers improved to 4-2 so far this season. This was a frantic game. This was one of the ugliest, yes, yet beautiful, yet sloppy, yet well orchestrated at times games you ever want to see. Undisciplined at times. It was just everything wrapped up in a nice shiny bow. It was just ugly. You had 6 turnovers total. You had 20 penalties total. You had a punt return for a touchdown. You had a rookie quarterback making his first start. You had crazy swings of momentum. I think the lead changed like 5 times in the first half alone. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers end up scoring 27 unanswered points to defeat the Saints in the second half, as opposed to the Saints scoring 27 unanswered points in the first half. Or was it 20 unanswered? I get it all jumbled up. It was a lot of points scored today. But the loss is, like I said, the 4th in a row. The 4th in a row after the first 2 weeks of the season where we felt, we being the Who Dat Nation, that nobody was going to stop this team. You know, putting up 91 points in the first 2 games, just surgically dissecting the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. And all of a sudden, the wheels fell off. And it's like night and day. It's maddening because of the great drop-off. Now, you could say it's the level of competition. I don't think that's the case. Now, you can also say that we had injuries. I don't think that's the case either. There are a lot of teams that were injured. Tampa Bay was injured today. They had a lot of injuries on their team. Yet and still, they managed to put up 51 points. And so, we're not going to bail out this team. I'm tired of bailing out this team. I'm tired of making excuses for this team. We are what the record says we are. We stink. We stink. And it's not on a talent level. Saints are plenty talented. I think Spencer Rattler showed enough today to show us that he is the future of this organization. Spencer Rattler was super impressive in his debut. He had some turnovers in the second half that's kind of like, why did you make that throw? But he was due for that, being a rookie, his first start. And Ty Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he adjusted at halftime, unlike the New Orleans Saints coaching staff. He adjusted. He saw that Baker Mayfield was looking like poo-poo garbage in that first half, throwing 3 picks. He threw 3 interceptions, and it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do the second half. We're going to run the ball. I'm going to protect my quarterback. And he did. What I'm going to do to their quarterback, I'm going to throw everything at him but the kitchen sink. And that's what he did. He made Spencer Rattler uncomfortable in that second half, which should have been expected, should have been prepared for by this team, and it wasn't. But the point I'm trying to get at in all of this, Dennis Allen needs to go. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. This team, it really showed today. Everything that hampers this team was on full display today. They're undisciplined. They can't adjust. It's like, it's pure insanity. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that's what Sean Payton and this coaching staff does week in and week out. I don't understand this defense. This was the worst defensive performance by this Saints organization I have seen in quite a while. I thought those days were past us. I thought we had moved past the time when the Saints defense couldn't tackle. I thought we moved past the time when wide receivers are wide open all over the field. I thought those days were over. Yet today was a throwback. We went back to that. We reverted back to that. And then we get to the fourth quarter of this game when it pretty much was over and done with. The team quit. I don't care what nobody say. If you watch that game, that defense quit on Dennis Allen. They said forget it. There was business decisions made on that last touchdown in the game. They didn't even attempt to tackle. It was so embarrassing to be a Saints fan to watch this. It was so embarrassing. And I just want to say that when we talk about getting rid of Dennis Allen, what more we need to see? What more we need to see? He's not going to turn this around. It's not going to change. This is the same thing that we have been experiencing for the last 3 years, over and over again. It's the same thing. You win 2 games, then you go on a losing streak. Then you muster up 2 or 3 games in the middle. Then you finish off and try to get to at least 500, at the end of the season. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And when you think about what this team could have been at this point of the season with these 4 losses, it's really frustrating. Saints could easily be 5-1 right now. 5-1, really 6-0, but I'm gonna say 5-1. That Philly game, you had it, you lost it. The Atlanta game, you had it, you lost it. All right, the Chiefs won the game. Chiefs beat you, but you can make an argument. There were moments in that game where the Saints could have took control of that game. At one point, it was a 3-point game, and you lost it. This week, Tampa Bay jumped on you 17-0. I was ready to say, forget it. I was ready to click the TV, but the Saints mustered up some gumption and took the lead. They went off in that in that second quarter, took the lead. I think they scored 27 points in the second quarter. Unfortunately, that was it. He didn't score no more. And you get in the second half, Ty Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they readjusted, and that was the game. They ran the ball down the Saints' defensive throat. And what makes matters even worse, the defense, this was the worst. This was the worst, man. Poor tackling, bad penalties. It was just bad. It was just all around bad. There's really no good to come out of this game. Zero. None. Other than Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler, despite his 2 picks, I think had a really good showing to say this was his first start. Let's remember, like I said, they jumped, they being Tampa, jumped on the Saints. 17-0. I'm like, oh my God, we might as well forget it. You lose Chris Olave on the first drive to a concussion, I believe. So expect to see him out for a couple of weeks. And then, that's your number 1 receiver. So all the pressure in the world is on Spencer Rattler at this point. You already have a makeshift offensive line that this man has to deal with. It was just problem on top of problem. He was poised. He kept it together. He led this team to 27 straight points in the second quarter. And I was like, my God, we have struck gold. At that point, I'm like, man, do you give the keys to the car back to Carr? I don't think so. At that point. Now, even now, after the results of this game, I still ask that question. Because I know had this happened with Derek Carr as quarterback, this would have been worse. We wouldn't have put up those 27 points. and you know it, and I know it. It would not have been a game at that point. It would have been worse. They probably would have put up 51 points in the first half on the Saints had it been Carr at quarterback. But I'm not gonna talk ill will of the man. He didn't play. This is the 1 week he's excused from vitriol. But this was just unbelievable. This was an unbelievable loss by the New Orleans Saints. Really don't have much to say today. Not going to go in depth with this game. I'm not mad. And that's the scary part. I'm really kind of just numb to it all. I'm to the point I'm like, I'm ready to just say forget it. As long as this organization continues to trot Dennis Allen out there every week like he's the second coming of Tom Landry or Bill Walsh or something like that, I can't do it, man. I just cannot get behind this team. I can't do it. This dude cannot coach. He is not a head coach. Point blank period. It's painfully obvious at this point. His bread and butter, the defense, his calling card. Look what happened to it. Look what happened to that defense today. Man, Ty Bowles just went to school on Dennis Allen. Out coached, outclassed, out everything. Just put him in his place. And it was embarrassing to watch. It truly was. I actually felt bad for Dennis Allen. And I still feel bad for Dennis Allen. But that doesn't take away the fact that I feel he needs to go. For the sake of this organization, he got to go. Because I don't see it. I don't see him turning his organization around. I don't see him as a leader of men. I don't see him as a coach that's willing to adjust, make changes, do something that will help this team succeed. He doesn't put his team in the best position to play. He doesn't have this team prepared to play week in and week out. The undisciplined play by this team, by this defense in particular, once again, his calling card tells it all. The penalties, the missed tackles. I mean, we talking fundamental football, people. I'm not worried about the blitzes and the different type of screen passes or stretch run plays that may throw off a defense. No, I'm talking fundamentals, wrapping up and tackling. Not tackling somebody who's 10 yards out of bounds. Pass interference. Yes, Paulson Adebo got an interception today, but he also got a PI today too. And this is the, 6th week in a row? That's like his 8th pass interference call this year? Come on. Where is the accountability? Who is holding these players accountable for their boneheaded plays every week? Obviously nobody, because they keep doing it every week. It's frustrating, man. This is so frustrating, and I see no signs of it getting better. None. This is going to be another wasted season. This is going to be probably another below 500 season, 7-10, 8-9 if we're lucky. It's going to be hard to watch. It really is. And God forbid next Sunday, or I'm sorry, Thursday. Short week, people. We don't have long to soak in this. Next Thursday when Sean Payton returns. You think Sean Payton is going to come here and not want to stick it to the New Orleans Saints, stick it to Dennis Allen? And Denver has an excellent defense. And so if Tampa defense gave you the blues, which isn't all that good, what you think Denver defense is going to do to you? Tampa defense is known. They're notoriously known for not being able to stop the run. What the Saints do when they come out here this Sunday? Not run the ball. It'll be one thing if the Saints attempted to run the ball 50 times today and they couldn't get nothing going. Okay, fine. You tried. They didn't even try. And then the runs you did try, it was with Alvin Kamara, who, God bless him. Alvin Kamara, he's a tough guy. He's giving it his all. He's laying it all out there on the field. Alvin Kamara should have sat his behind down today. Alvin Kamara did not run the ball well. He looked like he was in quicksand all day. Why was he in the game? Why didn't you use Jamal Williams more? Why did you? I don't know what's up with the Kendrick Miller thing. I see he was upgraded, but he didn't play. They had the Mims boy. You barely gave him the ball. So it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing as an offense? You have a rookie quarterback in the game, and you're not helping him. They didn't attempt to help this rookie succeed. They didn't even try to help him. Run the ball. I think Spencer Rattler dropped back 40 times today. 40 times. Come on, man. No. Y'all didn't do that with Derek Carr. So why are you doing it with Spencer Rattler? That made no sense to me. None. Then we get in the second half. Saints scored no points in the second half. Saints were in scoring position that I know of twice. You know why they didn't score? Because they kept dropping back. They got sacked one time, took them out of field goal range. Then penalties took them out of field goal range as well. They couldn't get anything going. They couldn't. It wasn't like Ty Bowles was disguising blitzes against Spencer Rattler. He wasn't doing anything exotic. He wasn't. He was showing his hand the whole time. He didn't care. And for some strange reason, we didn't adjust. We did not adjust to that. The entire second half. It was like, oh my God, he's sending a blitz. Are you really shocked? That's all they did was blitz. That's all they did. Man, look, let's go over the stats. I'm not gonna spend all day with this game. It's it's too frustrating. It's getting to the point where I am getting mad. I wasn't mad before, but I'm getting to that point now. Anywho, let's go over the stats in this game, beginning with the passing. Leading passer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. He was 24 of 36, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was sacked once. For the New Orleans Saints, it was Spencer Rattler, 22 of 40 for 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times today. Leading rusher for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was Sean Tucker, 14 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown. Leading rusher for the New Orleans Saints was Alvin Kamara, 13 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Leading receiver for the New Orleans Saints today was Foster Monroe. He had 2 catches for 54 yards. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, 11 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leading tackler for the New Orleans Saints today was Jordan Howden. He had 11 tackles. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was Devontae David, 9 tackles. Team stats. Starting with first downs, Tampa Bay had 31 first downs to the Saints 19. That is, oh my God, that is ridiculous. Margin there. That is, oh my God. You look at that margin of first downs. I'm shocked the score wasn't bigger than what it was. Third down efficiency, Tampa Bay was 6 for 10. Saints were 4 for 13. On fourth down, Tampa didn't try any fourth down attempts. Saints tried it once and converted once. Total plays. Tampa Bay ran 72 total plays to the Saints 66. Total yardage. Tampa Bay had 594 yards total today to the Saints 303. Total drives, they were dead even at 14 apiece. Yards per play, Tampa 8.2 yards per play to the Saints 4.6. Passing yardage, Tampa had 317 yards passing to the Saints 222. Rushing yardage, another, my God. Tampa had 277 yards rushing to the Saints 81. There you have it. There you have it. The average Tampa Bay, they had 7.9 yards per rush to the Saints 3.9. That's why you lost. Red zone, Tampa was 4 for 5 in the red zone. Saints were 2 for 4. Penalties, Tampa had 12 penalties for 86 yards. Saints had 7 penalties for 7 yards. Both teams had 3 turnovers apiece. Time of possession, Tampa Bay had the ball for 34 minutes and 2 seconds to the Saints 25 minutes and 58 seconds. Another thing with this defense, I knew it was bound to happen with this defense. Everybody rants and raves about the Saints being the number 1 red zone defense. The problem I always had with the Saints' number 1 rated red zone defense is the fact that they allow teams to get in the red zone. And once again, they got into the red zone. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got into the red zone 5 times today. This bend don't break defense was eventually going to break, and it broke. They were 4 for 5 in the red zone. The first drive, Tampa went straight down the field like it wasn't nothing. I think Baker Mayfield completed his first 9 passes. It was surgical. Then the wheels fell off, and then they managed to put the wheels back on in the second half. But it was like, my goodness, man, this is going to be a long day for the Saints defense. And sure enough, it was, giving up almost 600 yards of offense. That is unheard of. This is embarrassing. My God, it's embarrassing. Let's get to the grades of the New Orleans Saints performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In case this is the first time you're joining the show, welcome to the show. But this is how we do the grades after every Saints game. I grade the offense, defense, special teams, and coaching, round it all up, and come up with an overall grade for the New Orleans Saints performance in Week 6. Beginning with the offense. The offense was basically average. It looked good under Spencer Rattler. The play calling in the second half was suspect as I don't know what. It was really bad. It didn't help this offense, didn't help Spencer Rattler, but Spencer Rattler looked so good out there. I am so encouraged, looking forward to his career as a New Orleans Saint. Hopefully, I'm not super cheering that he continues on under this, but I am encouraged knowing that this is who we have to look forward to. The offense output today was very, very bad. Couldn't run the ball. Didn't try to run the ball, actually. After that fourth quarter, I keep saying fourth. After that second quarter where they just exploded on offense, we didn't see it no more the rest of the game. I'll be shocked to see what the numbers are in that second half. Couldn't find it before I started the show to see the breakdown of it, how many yards we actually got in the second half, but it wasn't many. It wasn't that many. They did nothing in that second half. But the New Orleans Saints offense today gets a C-. Defense, the only thing that saved the defense from getting the F, they managed to get 3 turnovers today. In spite of those 3 turnovers today, they still get a D+. That's the closest thing I can give to positive for this defense after what we saw today. And then in the fourth quarter, they just quit. They just flat out quit on Dennis Allen and his organization. They get a D+ on defense. Special teams gets an A+. The only shining light in the Saints game today. We got a punt return. We had some really good punts by our kicker. Groupie made his extra points and field goals, so no slander is directed to the special teams direction. They get an A+. Coaching gets a D+ as well. Once again, the only thing that saved them from a flat out F was what took place in that second quarter. And that was the only, the Saints scored in no other quarter but the second quarter. They were shut out in the first, shut out in the third, shut out in the fourth. But the second quarter is where they just went bananas. They went crazy nuts. And it was like, okay, now we back on track. And then it just went poof. They never came back out the locker room. Dennis Allen did not have this team geared up, ready to play. It looked like they were the displaced team. Tampa Bay was displaced all week. Tampa Bay they weren't home all week because of the storm. And yet and still, they looked well prepared. They looked like they were ready to play, and they executed better. Whereas the Saints, who are at home, look displaced. Yeah, they get a D+. Overall, they get a D+. It doesn't average out that way when you add it up, but I didn't like the grade, and so I changed it. It's a D+. And it's a D+ because there were some bright lights. There was the punt return. There was Spencer Rattler looking like he is ready for prime time. Yeah, he had his rookie moments, of course, with those 2 intercepts that I didn't like. There was some bad intercepts, but he's a rookie. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bad water, but I will say those were some bonehead decisions by him that he needs to clear up. We're going to keep it fair and balanced here. But I am encouraged by him. I am not encouraged by this defense. Defense ain't getting no better. The defense ain't getting any better. The defensive line, it looks like it gets worse every week. Every week. There were points when they had, what's his name, wrapped up for a sack, and they couldn't get him down. Was it Baker Mayfield? They couldn't tackle, but they couldn't tackle nobody. It's like Tampa Bay just smeared petroleum jelly all over them before the game, and they just could not tackle. And this is a week-to-week thing with the New Orleans Saints. They can't tackle. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Every week I give MVPs for the game. I have none this week. There are 0 MVPs to be handed out this week for the New Orleans Saints after this performance. It was embarrassing. That was an embarrassing show. And if I was the owner, if I was the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, Dennis Allen would be fired right now. Hands down. It is not even a question. Because he has shown me who he is as a head coach. He has shown me. And so we shall see. But it's on to Denver. This is a short week, very short week. And so let's see how the Saints fare up this Thursday against Denver. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the rest of this season, to be 100% honest with all of you. I am pretty much checked out. I was excited at first. I was skeptical. I wasn't overly excited like some people, but I was happy with what I saw the first 2 weeks. Not no more. That was a fluke. That is the biggest fluke of sports you ever going to find. It's those first 2 games. The Saints would never look that good again. They never. It's sad to say, unfortunately. But who knows? Anything can happen. They're 2-4 right now. The season's not done. I know I'm going doom and gloom. It's not done. But in order to turn this thing around, I can see I've been watching football long enough, my whole life to be exact. I've watched enough football to know, from what I've seen over the past 4 weeks, heck, let's go the whole season. I'm not going to leave out the first 2 games. Those were perfect games. What I've seen in the last 6 weeks lets me know that the New Orleans Saints are not going to change. And it can change. Let me rephrase that. It can change. But this organization is not willing to do what is necessary to make that change. And so with me having that knowledge, knowing that Mickey Loomis, Gail Benson, Dennis Lauscher, they're not going to make that change, I know straight up, without a fact, this is what it is. We're not going anywhere as an organization. And it's fine. Once again, I'm not even mad. I actually expected this to happen because it's Dennis Allen. It's Dennis Allen. A zebra doesn't change its stripes. We know he's a zebra. I don't know why we went into this season. And look, there was a moment, there was a flash where I drunk the Kool-Aid too. I actually thought I was looking at a thoroughbred. I thought I was looking at a thoroughbred. I'm like, oh, it got stripes on it. Oh, that ain't nothing. Don't worry about that. It's a thoroughbred. But now, the scales have fell off my eyes. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. It is a zebra. It is what it is. This team will not be accomplishing the goals that a lot of us have set for them this season. But I would love to know, what did you think of this game? Well, I know what you're thinking, but I mean, let's look deeper here. What did you think of Spencer Rattler's performance? What do you think the Saints should do moving forward? It's a short week. We got to turn right around and welcome back Sean Payton into the Dome this Thursday night. What do you think? Do you think that well, I know they're not going to fire Dennis Allen this week because it's a short week. If they had the inkling to do it, it's not going to happen this week. If anything, it'll be after that Denver game, depending on what the outcome of that game is. And I can tell you now, I'm not encouraged by it. But what do you think? Are you out? You checked out already, or are you still holding on to hope? And God bless you. I envy all of you. And it's a part of me who is holding on to hope as well. I want them to turn it around. This stinks, man. It stinks for me as a Saints fan to be doom and gloom with this team because I love this team so much. But common sense is beating me up. Like, man, you see what's going on. you know what's going on. But I want to know what you think is going on. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap and reaction to the Saints' defeat at the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the score of 51-27, putting us at 2-4 on the season. Like I said, it's a short week, so be prepared for the preview of the Saints versus the who we playing? The Denver Broncos. See, I'm all despondent right now. Saints are killing me. The preview for the Saints versus the Broncos this Thursday night. And once again, after that game, you can catch the show as we recap and react to that game as well. Everybody, look, I know it's going to be tough going to work tomorrow morning. It's been tough the last 4 weeks of the the last 4 weeks of the season, but hopefully times will get better soon. We'll get through it, and the only way to get through the week, the only way to get through these tough times is to lift your head up, breathe in a deep breath, and yell out with a deep, loud voice, "Who that?"